Welcome to this tutorial on how to make a high quality or low poly but optimized battle axe in Blender. In this video I'll give in-depth explanations for what I do, but if you want a shorter version, go ahead and watch my short about it now. If you don't want to go through this process or don't have the money, then go to the link in my description down below and get this asset completely for free, fully modeled and textured, no strings attached, in my Fab store or my Patreon. Both are free. Without further ado, let's get started. What you can do to get started on the handle is you can add a cylinder and you can scale it up on the Z, scale it down on every other axis, and just basically get the dimensions right for what you want to do for it. And what we can do is we can go in to select the bottom edge, extrude out, scale down, extrude, scale up a little bit, boom, we have a little bit of texture right there. Then we're just going to do that just to make it a little bit more even, and at some point, when you want to make kind of like a little grip area, you can add 4 loop cuts in one section, and you can select the center two and just scale them up a little bit, just like that, and then you get a nice little groove right there. And we can do it one more time. You can also just bevel it like that and just scale it up like that. And to make this smooth, we can just click Shade Auto Smooth, and I highly suggest that you get a reference image for the axe head just to help map it out. What we can do is we can add a plane. I'm just going to rotate it on the y-axis, then I'm going to bring it up a little, and I will delete all but one vertex. Then we can grab this vertex in edit mode, and we're just going to move it just a little bit off to the center. And what we can do is we can add a mirror modifier in the Y, and as you can see, they're not perfectly connected, but we will get to that later. Now what you do, you select that vertex, and all you have to do is just basically extrude and follow the shape of your reference image of the axe. And it doesn't really matter how many vertices you add, because you can always add or take away more later. We'll come down like this, and then we can turn on clipping, and we can extrude this one into this one, and we can extrude this one into this one. And so if we take a look, we have it nice like that. Now what you're going to do, you can turn off clipping for now, and what you want to do is extrude these vertices inward, and keep doing that until we go all the way around. It doesn't have to be necessarily perfect, but then what you can do is select 2 vertices, click F, and basically make quads around the entire mesh. For the middle, you can turn on clipping now, extrude down, extrude down, extrude down, extrude down, extrude down, extrude down, and that should be good. And then of course you can connect the vertices and basically do this for the entire mesh. And once you have it all filled in, what you can do is just click A and F to fill it all in. Perfect. Now you can select everything but the outer edge, and if you really want to, all you can do is hit smooth vertices. Oh, sorry. We're going to do that with clipping on. You're going to smooth vertices, and you can adjust how much you want to smooth them down here just to keep even topology. And then as you can see, these vertices moved out, so we can add a loop cut back here just to, keep the uniformity of the mesh. I'm thinking I'm going to add another loop cut in here, then I'll merge these two, delete only faces, then select them again, and just like that, and just even out the topology a little bit. What we can do is we can select this middle section, and we can extrude it just a little bit so that it looks like that. And now that you've extruded them out, what you can do is go into the side view and move the vertices inward a little bit. Basically, it'll automatically select the top vertex for you, so you don't have to worry about selecting anything. And this is just basically to give kind of like a groove to a groove and texture kind of like this to our mesh. The reason we did this quad stuff in the middle is because we want to ensure even topology, and generally you want to avoid getting triangles, but if you do get triangles, then that's fine. Now what we're going to do is add another mirror modifier. It's going to look like the same thing. We're going to turn off clipping, and what you're going to do is select this middle row of vertices that you worked on, turn on proportional editing, and when you have it on, you can adjust the influence with your mouse, but what you're going to do is just move them in opposite directions, kind of like this from top view and this from side view. What you want to do is I'll move this down a little bit and move them in opposite directions. You can adjust how big this is until it covers the handle. So I think this is good. If these vertices for you are together, then that's perfect. You already did it. But if they aren't together, then all you have to do is turn on clipping, make sure to turn off proportional editing, and you just have to move these vertices towards each other. And in order to maintain a smooth transition between these next vertices, you can just move this next one in a little bit, this next one in a little bit, and you're good. And same thing down here, we can move this in the way, and this one in most of the way, this one a little bit more, and perfect. Now we can move this. I actually don't like the look of that, so I'm just going to select these 4 inner loops, and I'm just going to move that down. And all we can do is move this down, and the axe is looking a little bit more realistic. Now, what we can do here is select the outer edges, just the outer edges. As you can see, make sure you have nothing in the middle selected. Turn on clipping, and basically you just have to extrude it into each other until you get a full solid looking mesh like this. Perfect. Now that we have this done, you can either click Shade Smooth. If a problem like this happens, then click A, M by distance, and remove any additional vertices you have. And as you can see, the Shade Smooth doesn't look too great. We can try Shade Auto Smooth, which looks good if you're going for a low poly, but if you want something more, then what you can do is add a subdivision surface modifier, and then the Shade Smooth will look a lot better. Same thing with the Shade Auto Smooth, just depending on how you want your mesh to look, and you can adjust your subdivision however you want. For my purposes, I'm just gonna keep it at 2 like that. And perfect, there you go, there's the axe done. You can play around with lots of different stuff that you want, add more details into the handles. Then in order to make the grip, it's very simple. All we're going to do is we're going to add a plane, rotate it 90 degrees, and we are going to remove 2 of the vertices. Now when you have this, you can go to generate and get a screw modifier. We're going to make it in the x-axis, and we are going to go ahead and scale that down, bring it down here, and now you can adjust your screw, your iterations, your angle, the scale, basically whatever you want. Now, if you're looking for low poly optimized, you can keep it like this, but if you want to, you can add a solidify modifier, and we're just going to shade auto smooth on that, and you can again adjust how much or where the solidify is going. Perfect. Now, if you want just a grip, then you're good right here, but if you want a cool looking crisscross grip, all you're going to do is you're going to duplicate, right click, and you're going to Control M, left click, and basically do it like that. Now you're going to see that some of the faces overlap, so in that case you just scale one up or scale one down. In this case I will just go up and scale this one up a little bit, again based on your preference, and there you go, overlapping is gone. Now, if we look at everything in total, we total at about 3,300 vertices, which is actually really good for your game. Again, you can actually optimize it by removing certain vertices or loop cuts. For example, this thing doesn't add much detail, so I can just go here and dissolve edges, and you basically want to remove as many loop cuts without actually compromising the quality of the mesh. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to UV unwrap and create texture sets in order to prepare for texturing in Substance Painter. So what we're going to do here, we're actually first going to go to materials, and we're going to create a new material. For the base color, you can select an image texture, and then you can click new, it can be untitled, uncheck alpha, and click UV grid there. Now we can go up here and select the material preview. So what we're going to do to UV unwrap is we're going to add UV seams. So you can just select this one right down the middle. It's probably the easiest one to do for the axe head. And what you're going to do is just mark seam. Then just to show you, we can unwrap minimum stretch, and boom, there you go. There is clean, no stretching on the UVs. For a cylinder, it's pretty basic. All you do is select the top face, the bottom face, and probably one in the middle here. We can mark seam, and it'd be better if we actually go to this UV editing window, and we can just select our material right here. We're going to go into material preview, and for this one, I figured out that it's better to do angle base. Oh, yes, right. First we have to apply, we can just select everything and apply scale, make sure you do that. And now when we UV unwrap this on angle base, this will look a lot better. Now for the grip, what we can do, we can probably select the inner face, and what it's going to do is going to select it all the way down, which is perfect. So let's just try to see what that does, because you do want to limit your UV seams. And as you can see, that is not bad. Then we can do the same thing for this one. We can just select the inner seam, mark seam, and unwrap and stretch. Then we can select everything, click A here, and you can get this free add-on called Texel Density Checker. You just go up here into Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and you can search for Texel Density Checker, or you can download it from the Blender website if it's not available. And it's really simple. All you do is open it and you can click set my TD, which basically makes all of your UVs have the same size. And then what you can do is under UV, you can go pack islands, scale rotate is fine, and there we go, just like that. So now we're looking good for this, but now we need to actually create material texture sets so that in Substance Painter our job is so much easier. So what we can do here is we can just label texture underscore battle axe underscore iron, and if you want to, you can put the texture resolution of it, but you don't have to. And what we're going to do is we're just going to choose a nice base color of red. Then same thing for this one, we're going to keep what we can do is select this one, and then we can select the one that already has the material. We can click Control L, link materials, just a quick tip. But anyways, back to the naming thing. You don't have to name it Battle Axe. This is just setting you up in case that you have multiple meshes in one project. Then all we can do is we can just click A, we can click Control J, and one more time we can select all merge by distance to remove any vertices. We can click Alt N to recalculate outside to make sure we have no faulty normals, and then you can just go to export FBX. You're going to want selected objects. Then you're going to go down to geometry, you're going to click face, and you're going to go down to armature, click deselect add leaf bones and deselect animations, and you can just go ahead and export your in Substance Painter. We can go to file new, we can select our file that we made previously. ASMR PBR metallic roughness is fine as a starter template, and your document resolution is basically whatever you want it to be. I'll just set it for 2K here just to show, and the rest of these settings are fine as default. Then you can click OK, and it's going to bring up your nice little mesh right here, and you can click this croissant icon in the top corner. Again, we're going to set this output size to 2K, but again, adjust as needed. These maps the same. Then you can click Bake Selected Textures, and you can wait a couple seconds. As you can see, it shows you the maps that it's baked in the bottom left corner. This is just basically making your mesh able to adapt to the 3D textures. Now, we're good here, and we can go over to this filter right here and click Smart Materials, because that is what we're going to use. Now, I feel like we have the grip selected. We can just delete this layer, and let's go find ourselves a nice grip. So I'm just going to search up leather, and I like this one. So we can just, boom, select it like that. And there we go, we have a nice 2K leather texture. It's a little bit rough, which is good because it's a battle axe. And there's a bunch of different materials here that you can explore, and all of them will work, so just be creative. And if you want to adjust any of these values, you can just click this drop down on the folder, and you can click on something. But you can change things like the metal edge wear, which changes that heavily, and just a lot of different creative aspects. Now we can go into the iron, because that's next. We'll delete the layer, and we can find ourselves some silver armor. Why not that? We can go on the edges, we can go the grunge scratches, and we're just going to increase that all the way up, and that doesn't look good, so we're just going to decrease that a little bit. Perfect. Now what we can actually do is under the silver armor, we can add a layer, and then you can go to this paint, you can deselect color and roughness, and what we're going to do, we're going to set the height just a little bit lower, the metallic up here, the normal is fine, and we can select this alpha, and we're just going to search up scratches, and let's go for this one right here. Now, as you can see, you have a nice little scratch right here, and if you do that, it's going to give you a scratch with an actual displacement in the mesh, so it's going to give you real detail. And you can play around with this like a lot. You can change the hardness of the scratches, you can change the number of the scratches, you can change the size of the scratches, you can change the rotation and the rotation variation, and just so many things you can do here. I'm not there right now, I'm just going to add a couple of these guys like that, and you know, hardness, decrease size like that, number, rotation, and then you go on this side, and that is honestly fine for me. Again, play around with this, be creative. Substance Painter is super creative and gives you so many different tools to do that. Now we can move on to the wood. We can delete the layer, and we can just search a nice wood. Do I like wood walnut? No, I don't think wood walnut fits, so we can try wood chip, and no, I don't like that either. Let's try this one. No, that's not it. And wood chest, you know what? That is good for me. I really like that. Again, you can adjust values down here if you want, but this is fine for me, anywhere you want. And now when you're done messing around with your textures, you're going to go over to export textures. Under global settings, you're going to choose the folder that you want to actually export the textures in. Then for the output template, it generally depends on what you're making it for, but if you ever do want it to be used in Unreal Engine or Blender, then scrolling down and going under Unreal Engine Packed and selecting that is really good. Then you can keep the rest of these, and under here we can just check to make sure. And Substance Painter is non-destructive, which means you could have been modeling this entire time in 1K textures, and you can export it in 8K if you really want to. So that's what's really great about it. But now we can look at our output maps here, and this is going to be, they're a little bit cut off, but it's going to be base color, metallic, occlusion, and roughness. It's all into one map, normal and emissive. In this case, we don't need emissive because it's not emissive, so we can go into all three of them and remove emissive. But basically, this metallic one contains ambient, occlusion, roughness, and metallic all packed into one texture, which is really great. And once you're ready, you can just click export. You're going to navigate into the folders where you exported them, and we can just select the grip and shift select all three textures and drag them in here. As you can see, roughness metallic goes first, but base color, you're just going to want to reorganize them like this, to where you have the base color, the ORM, occlusion, roughness, metallic, and the normal. Then from base color, what you can do is you can just drag into base color. For the ORM map, it's a little bit more complicated. All you're going to have to do is add, converter, and separate color. We're going to add it like that. We're going to plug color into color, and then the red will go into the ambient occlusion if you have that, but we don't. The green is going to go into roughness, and the blue is going to go into metallic. Now you got to remember, for this map, we do not want it to be sRGB. You go ahead and select that as non-color. Then out of normal map, you can get a normal map strength node, and depending on, if we zoom in and we look, depending on whether we want to manually select our strength or the strength to be as it was in the default project, we can change it like this, and we can manually select our strength of the normal. Then, well, you can actually see it. You plug that in, and as you can see now, when we change these values, the normal is going to have a different effect. For this one, you're also going to make it non-color. Perfect. Now I have it set up for one texture. We can just now click on the wood, and we can repeat the process. And boom. And if your iron is looking a little bit too glossy and metallic, what you can do out of the separate color, since green goes into roughness, you can drag out of the green, and you can get a math multiply node. And just to keep this a little bit organized, you can increase the roughness values if you want it to be less glossy, just like that. Perfect. And now we have fully shown you the pipeline from Substance Painter to Blender. Thank you so much if you made it to the end of the video. Again, you can go to my Patreon or my Fab to get this asset completely for free. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments down below. Please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.